Welcome everyone to this week's special edition episode of Unrooted Softball Edition. And my guest for this week's show to kind of wrap up the season is head coach of Menlo College Softball, Christen Hardee-Thompson. Christen, thanks so much for joining me again.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, let's start off by talking about the season from the very beginning. The start of the year featured a lot of games jammed into a very short amount of time, particularly in the months of February and March. Were you worried that the team would wear down with so many games on the schedule?
It was a concern, but we did schedule it with breaks. We did try to prepare them in the sense of conditioning them well, giving them the days off we felt they needed from practice to endure through it. The trick became when the rain came and we were really adjusting, trying to get as many games in as we could. I felt that gave us a benefit getting the games in, but it did definitely start wearing on them a little bit.
Yeah, now you hit on it a little bit, again, the uncertainty about where games would be played because of the rain. You weren't supposed to have a single home series in the month of February.
Right.
You wound up having 3 separate ones at home. So from a coach's perspective, what kind of challenges does this create?
It was challenging for the team in the sense of being mentally prepared. I do feel like we did a really good job with them, and they did a great job of accepting that and being ready to go when we needed them to go. The big challenge actually that came out later was the fact that they just couldn't get caught up on school. So the quick changes, especially the Biola tournament, going down there early and quick turnaround, missing so much school there, that was a little bit hard for them to get caught back up on, and that extra stress is just a challenge throughout the season.
And then not only that, they're playing games from 12 o'clock in the afternoon to about 12 o'clock at midnight, so that was a little bit of a challenge for them as well.
And they did awesome that weekend. They put it all in, but I think when you put so much into that, it takes a little bit more time to recover. So.
Yeah, and the Oaks were off to a very good start early on, 14-5 at one point, but then by the middle of March, it kind of seemed like the team wasn't living up to the expectations that they set from 1 year ago, making the playoffs. What did you notice from the team during that span that saw the Oaks start off 3-8 in conference play?
It was a little shocking. We were trying to figure out, okay, what happened to our hitting, because we had been a very aggressive attack teams right off the bat, jump on them. Noticed there wasn't the same confidence in their hitting. We were adjusting things, trying to figure out who was going to fit and who was going to be on that day. So it felt a little bit forced and just not quite clicking together. And really part of it though too came out that they were trying to be last year's team instead of really discovering what their identity is this year, and awesome wanting to live up to the expectations of last year, but not really finding out who they were yet.
Yeah, and then suddenly, I guess when that realization came about, everything changed. The Oaks were 16-15 and then 3-8 conference play. And then you guys became the hottest team in the conference, and you're still owning that title right now. You won 15 of your final 16 games overall to finish 2 games out of first in the GSAC. How'd that happen?
It was a team. Actually, honest communication, I think, is the best way to sum that up. We had some sit-down meetings, and one of them, actually, Coach Mania was definitely the key on that one. She just asked, are you guys even having fun? Like, are you enjoying what you're doing? And I think putting it back into that perspective of like, why are we here? And the opportunity that we have. And so we kind of had that go around, and they talked about what would help motivate them more. We changed some things in practice so that they were getting the reps to feel confident, that they were competing with each other. They're a very competitive team, so they need that to push themselves. And then had another couple rounds of team meetings where we went through things like, we basically restarted the season and said, okay, hey, literally, we're starting over right now, and we're going to focus on selflessness, on gratitude, being thankful for the opportunity that we have, serving our teammates. When we put others before ourselves, it really helps us get out of our own heads and restart. And then honestly, just airing out some of the stuff that needed to be said or misunderstandings about personalities. And when they were able to do that, they were able to start holding each other accountable on the field, communicate more clearly with each other, and just bring that cohesion that they needed to really get back to where they wanted to be and find that identity, really.
Yeah, so the regular season is now over. Playoffs are on the horizon, and Menlo has their first round opponent. It's set. It's William Jessup, Northern California foe. It's May 2nd. You guys split in your meetings this season. You went 2-2. They were the one loss you had during that 15-1 run to the finish. So what can we expect from them?
I'm going to expect great defense. They're a great defensive team, and I'm going to expect a lot of movement out of Shelby Grafman. I mean, she moves the ball well. She does a great job mixing speeds just naturally. We've been working on that. So with the way that we've been hitting lately, I'm confident that we'll go in there and hit her well. but it's going to be a challenge, and they're going to come at us, and it's exciting to get to face them. I'm excited that it won't be raining.
Fingers crossed. We don't know yet.
I know. Every time we've come in contact this year, it's been calling about rain. So it'll be interesting to get to just.
It's been that way with about every single team you've played this season.
Well, yes. We have a definite connection. It seems like every time.
For sure. So I know you weren't a part of last year's team as the coach, but how much will the experience from last year's playoff run help the girls on the field?
Just from my experience in going to championships and other teams that have gone to championships in the past, anytime you have any experience there, it takes a little bit of that uneasiness or unsureness away. So anytime you can be a little bit more experienced, a little bit more comfortable. I mean, even playing at Vanguard, it's nice. We've been down there already this year. I mean, the freshmen have played there. So we'll go at it as, hey, it's another game, just playing at that location. We do well in neutral places. So, but anytime you have some of that experience to help deal with the jitters and be like, hey, I've been here before, I know what to expect, it's definitely going to be a benefit.
Now, last year's team relied primarily on power on the offensive side, and it got shut down in the playoffs. A couple of low-scoring playoff games resulted in losses for the Oaks. This year's team sprays it around a little bit more on the field while still hitting the gaps with some power. Is that going to be more beneficial for you guys? I
don't know necessarily if it would be more or less, but I will definitely say at Vanguard they have deep fences, so the gaps will be necessary. And just the fact of being able to have multiple ways of trying to drive in runs, make things happen, I think that's going to be necessary. As you get later in the season, those pitchers start getting strong again. They've seen the hitters multiple times now, so they know how to work them a little bit more. So working on our weaknesses, being ready to kind of go in there mentally prepared to be challenged, I think it's going to be a biggest strength. So. Does
this time of year change anything for you as a coach?
No, I was actually just talking to my mentor on the way in the other day, and he was giving a story about his team, and he was just like, yeah, he had to get on his girls the same way he would at the beginning. They're like, he's like, just because it's the end doesn't mean we change the intensity with which we do things, that we change our expectations, and so the diligence on the fundamentals, expecting them to push hard through every rep. No, it definitely doesn't change.
All right, so are you ready for the final segment of the show?
Yes.
Your second round of brownie bites. You're the first one to have to go through this twice, so I guess that's a good thing for you. Question number 1, which player will sleep the most during her free time at the playoffs?
Okay, so I had to take a poll with the team, and Regina Juarez is one that she does like to take her naps, so we're going to expect her to be resting up in between games as necessary.
I say this on, I think, every single show, and she's probably sick and tired of hearing it by now, but she gets chosen for almost every single answer at the end of the show. It's remarkable.
She's a great personality. She's a lot of fun. She brings so much lightness to the team and intensity at the same time.
And apparently a lot of sleep, too.
Yes, a lot. That's how she does it, I guess.
Question number 2. Which players would form the worst dancing group if they performed on stage?
Okay, so this one is definitely not because they're our worst dancers. They're probably some of our best dancers, but I'm calling them out because last week they didn't want to dance in front of their family. So I figured if they're on stage, they're not going to want to be dancing, and that was Iggy and Cassie. So they kind of shied to the side, and I was like, what's going on? And so I'm going to call them out on that one.
Now, how did this pregame ritual of dancing right before a game begin?
That came from last year. They like to be relaxed, and whatever I told them, I want them to do something that's going to get them intense and ready to play, and that's what it takes to get them at that right level of intensity and relax and being relaxed and ready to go. And they look good. I'm impressed. I'm like, as long as you do it as well as you can and look good doing it, then you're all good. So
looked pretty good when they had Notre Dame Daniel Muir help them out too a few weeks back. That was about 35 players dancing in front of home plate before the game. I've never seen anything like that before.
Either have I, but you know what? If they come out and play with doing that, I'm all for it.
If it leads to wins, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
And then third and final question: if the team were driving down, of course you're flying, which player would need to stop the most on the way?
Okay, and this one I had to go to my trusty assistant on, and so we have kind of a tie-off between Cassie Grana and Jordan Kennedy. So, I don't know exactly. Maybe they need the rest and stretch. I don't know. We've got some. I was thinking Bryce Etzler a little bit too, because I know her body gets a little bit tight. She needs to stretch it out a little bit. The older they get, they start needing those breaks.
Well, Christen, thank you so much for joining me on the show. I appreciate it. And fans, it is playoff time for Menlo College softball. The tournament down in Vanguard at Costa Mesa will be running May 2nd through 4th. The Oaks will open up May 2nd, neutral site game against William Jessup. It's 11:30 a.m. and complete coverage for the tournament will be provided courtesy of Vanguard. So if you want to go check out the live stream for those games, you can go to the link at the bottom of the page. portal.stretchinternet.com/Vanguard will be your site for all things GSAC playoffs. And so we wish you the best of luck down there. And that does it for our Unrooted Softball Edition this year. We invite you to tune in to next season when we go through this all again. Christen, you're going to have to get ready for it.
All right.
Thank you so much for tuning in all season long. We appreciate it, and take care.